Hey all, welcome to Picasso Reef. On today's episode, it's a huge one. Today, I'm going to the airport with my daughter. We're going to pick up the first fish for the Dream Reef tank. Let's do it.
Yeah!
All right, I guess I should go back a step because it was about this time a week ago that it dawned on me that my tank was ready for fish and I'm nowhere near having a fish list ready. But the one thing I did know was I was always going to have a pair of clownfish, and the clownfish were always going to be the first fish in the tank. So I guess by process of elimination, I worked out what kind of clownfish I wanted. Now, we're spoilt in the hobby these days, particularly in Australia, where our selection of designer clownfish has been limited in the past. Not the case anymore. Some of the designer breeds coming out are absolutely off the charts. However, I must say, I'm a little bit old school, a little bit more traditional, and I guess the type of clownfish I like would have been considered extreme maybe 10 years ago, where today they're fairly tame. So despite the fact that I get 99% of my fish through Deer Park Aquarium, where I help out on Saturdays, and I've known Dave for a long time, and he will only ever sell me absolutely perfectly healthy fish that are ready to go in my tank because, shock horror, I don't actually quarantine. If a fish needs to be quarantined, my local fish shop does it for me for a small fee. Now, Dave has been getting in some absolutely cracking clownfish of late, and some of the ones like the mocha storms he's had in, even some of the all white ones, some of the lightnings, some of the snowflakes, some of the onyxes, you name it, there's been some cracking clownfish in. However, I have to admit, they've all been a little bit too fancy for me, and I kept sort of looking back to the clownfish I had in my last display tank, which were straight up Picassos, and one of them had a little teardrop, I guess, or a little sideburn. My big female had a sideburn on one side, and I really liked that. And I thought if I could just go just a touch more extreme than that, that would be great. So Dave suggested I reach out to Coastal Clownfish, which, silly me, the thought didn't even cross my mind because, like I said, I was just in autopilot thinking I get all my fish through Dave, so I'll have a chat to Dave and see what he can get. He said, if you're after some pretty crazy fish, why don't you talk to Matt and Jade at Coastal Clownfish? And that's exactly what I did. I shot Matt a message and said, hey, I'm looking for some Picassos. He goes, we don't get Picassos in all that often. Let me see what I've got. I'll send you a message when I get home because he's at work at the moment. Sure enough, like an hour later, he sends me a video of these 4 incredible extreme helmet Picassos, which is exactly what I was looking for. A Picasso that's just leveled up a little bit more, and they've got some crazy little markings on their head. They're not completely white. I really need white, orange, and black in my clownfish. I need to see all 3 colors. Otherwise, to me, they just don't kind of look like clownfish. So these ones absolutely tick the bill. So before you knew it, I said, yeah, Matt, let's work it out. I don't care what they cost. I don't care what freight's going to be. When they're ready to go, send them down to me. And he said, cool, I can send them on a flight to you next Sunday. So before you know it, money's been transferred. I've got an airway bill, and we're ready to go pick up these clownfish. So that's probably enough of the background. Let's go back into the journey of picking these fish up and getting them into the tank. Okay, so the tank itself is all ready. The little tenant, the temporary short-term clownfish was removed last night. I actually did that a little bit quicker than expected, and I didn't get the camera out till the end. Finally caught the little guy. I must admit it took a little bit more effort than I was expecting. I didn't have the camera rolling the whole time because you're pretty much just going to see my back and ass. So I made sure once I caught him, I got some footage for you. It was probably about 10 minutes total of chasing him. I did have 2 nets, but one net got the job. Once I got him into the corner, poor little guy's a little bit scared, but I'll get him back in the holding tank with the other fish, and hopefully he'll be a little less lonely then. So the tank is now empty. We've just got plenty of snails on there, keeping things clean. And I've got my acclimation set up here, all rigged up, ready to go. So basically, when the clownfish come, I'll put them in this tub here with the water they've come in. Then I've got this coming off my manifold here. Obviously, I'll get a bit of John Guest hose. That'll come across into here, just at a slow drip, and that'll drip into there. As that fills up, it'll then overflow into the bucket, which I've definitely left that hanging high so I can hear when the water's running into there. Once I've done about a bucket's worth of water changeover, which is probably about 4 to 5 times the amount of water the fish came in, I'll try to do that over about 30 to 45 minutes. Then I'll take the fish out and we'll pop them up into the display. All right, so we're all loaded up. We've got about an hour and a half drive. Might be a little bit longer because someone here wants to go to time zone on the way, and sometimes you got to pay your debts before you can do the things you really want to do, and that's...
And at time zone is the best place ever, because there's like 1,000 games to play, and when you have it enough, you can like actually get toys at the end, and it's the best place ever.
Best thing ever. So we're going to head on down to time zone now, play a few games, and then we'll hit the road to the airport to pick up these brand new clownfish. All right, so after a quick stop off at time zone, we made our way up the highway to Tullamarine Airport, which is about an hour, hour and a 10 drive. We've got minimal footage of the airport itself because the guys there don't like it when you start filming around these areas. They start getting a little bit concerned that you're a terrorist, so we kept it on the down low, but did a quick check just to make sure that the goods arrived were in fact alive and well, which I'm very happy to report they were. My daughter's there checking out the food. That was the most exciting thing for her at this point in time, which is fair enough. And we can see that we've got one fish in there swimming and looking good. Happy days. Very nice little markings on that chap. And I'm going to assume in the other bag we've got one more fish. I'll just tuck that one back in. Make sure he's safe and sound. We'll bring up this one. And we have the other fish. This one's a little bit more jumpy, but... they're both looking happy and healthy, all good. We can get them back into the box and make our way back down the highway again. Thankfully, the traffic wasn't too bad, so it was only about an hour's drive back again. And I am pleased to say that my little helper finally ran out of a bit of steam and did manage to catch a few minutes of shut-eye before we got home. So that will help the crankiness levels a touch when we go to unbox these fish. All right, we've got the very precious package home now, and the guys from Coastal Clownfish have done an awesome job packaging these. The box is not ridiculously large, but it's more than big enough for 2 clownfish. We get a nice little card with some of the food that they've been eating in the package, which is going to be really handy to transition them across to life in this tank behind us here. And then the fish have come individually packaged with a whole heap of oxygen and just enough water to keep them going. They're pretty skittish. I'll bring them in so you can have a quick look. Once we get them in the tank, I'll be able to get some better footage for you, but they are looking happy and healthy, which is always good. It looks like they're at least double bagged, if not more. A whole heap of insulating newspaper here, as well as a heat pack just to make sure they stayed nice and warm for the journey, because it was a little bit cool today. Strange weather, in fact, in Geelong, well, in Melbourne, I should say. And this little guy is tiny, but super, super cute. Really nice markings on him. He's a little less jumpy than the other one, so we'll get him into the acclimation tank, which, let's get that heat pack out of the way and all that fine newspaper. What I'm going to do now is get both of these fish into this acclimation tank, and then I'm going to let them slowly drip acclimate over a good 45, maybe 60 minutes. I'll give them as long as I can. Make sure the water that's in this bag has completely been exhausted through into the bucket, and we've slowly transitioned into the water that's in this tank. So I'll get onto that now, and then before we put them in the tank, I might turn some of the flow off, just because these guys are pretty small. I don't want them to get blown around the tank. I'll just give them a chance to settle in, and we'll go from there. Check out, little guy. There we go. Perfect, and that's just the perfect amount of water in there. There's enough room for him to swim upright, but by the time we add the second fish in, we're going to obviously double that water. There's still going to be heaps of room for this tank to fill up and acclimate with some other water.
Let him in, Dad.
Let him in. All right, we've now got 2 clownies in there.
Oh, there they are. And then there's the other. Clownies. The box.
All right, here's probably the scariest thing those clownfish you've ever seen. I'll get my cat out of the way. And let's just have a look here. This is the acclimation setup. So it just taps off my manifold. Just comes in a John Guest hosing, which just drips, which you can see we've got a very nice slow drip in there at the moment. Once that gets full, that'll then overflow out here into the bucket. Now I've deliberately left the hose high in the bucket so I can hear when that water is coming out, because I don't want this to overflow and end up in the belly pan when I still haven't tidied up all my electrics there. So we'll make sure it's nice and safe. I might even speed that drip up a little bit in a while because it's pretty slow. It's probably only a drip every 2.5 seconds. But that'll be a nice soft acclimation for these guys, which is what we want after the journey they've had. Quick opportunity to get a little close up before they go into the tank, and will be nearly impossible to get footage of this close for a while, I'd imagine. So a great chance to get some footage of them in this acclimation tank and really take in some of the beautiful markings that are on them. All right, so we're about 45 minutes into the acclimation now. You can see the drip has sped up quite a bit. We've ended up making that a small stream. Now the idea behind that, I actually raised that pipe up because you want to make sure that the water entering the acclimation tub there actually impacts the surface. I've recently learned that that's helped to, that is to help oxygen exchange, to make sure that the guys keep getting oxygen in their little tub. And you can see we've got a decent amount of water flowing through there. So I'll give that another 15 minutes and I'll be comfortable that after 60 minutes of acclimation, these guys will be ready to make their way up into the top part of the tank. All right, it's been an hour. The water has turned over probably about 5 or 6 times that the fish have come in. So I'm pretty comfortable now that they're fully acclimated in. They've had a nice long, slow transition. So all I'm gonna do now is turn off the water to that acclimation setup. I'll open up the canopy, I'll lift the acclimation box up onto the bracing, and I'll use my trusty net just to take the fish out, because we don't want any of that water going back into the tank. Not that there would be anything technically wrong with coastal clownfish water, but they've come from fish breeding systems which could well have elements for fish breeding rather than reef tanks. So just to avoid any sort of trouble there at all, I'll use a net just to set the fish out. We'll discard that water and we'll let these guys go. So I'll just turn the flow off first. Actually, I nearly forgot that step, and I am running a fair amount of flow in there at the moment. So I'll turn that off so the guys have got plenty of swimming freedom. They're not going to get blown around, and then I'll give them a day or two, and then I'll slowly turn the pumps back on so they slowly acclimate to the flow of the water. All right, that's got the flow off. I'm going to open up the hood. Might even lift the lights up just so I've got a bit of room to work. Let's get these fish up. Alright, little guys. And they're off. Clowns in their new home. All right, guys, there we have it. Finally, I've got my first 2 permanent fish in the Dream reef tank. It's actually starting to look like a reef tank now, not just an engineering project of extruded aluminium glass and cabinetry. It actually has some life in there, and it's all clean sailing from here. And I feel like I've got this off onto the absolute best start possible with these 2 gorgeous clowns. Massive shout out to Matt and Jade from Coastal Clownfish. The guys were just so easy to deal with. It all happened so quickly, very, very affordable for those in the market for a high quality pair of clownfish. Those 2 there were $400 for the pair plus freight. And the level of attention to detail that Matt and Jade put in, things like supplying the food they've been eating, sending multiple videos of the fish, telling you to circle the ones you like. They just go above and beyond, and it's a really nice service, and I'm really glad to see them doing as well as they are in this market. I really hope that they continue to infiltrate reef tanks across Australia with some of their beautiful designer clowns. But I will wrap things up there, guys. It's been a long time coming to get some fish in this tank. I hope you are as excited as I am. I guess you probably can't be because it's my fish tank, but I know so many of you have been following along with this build and have been for lack of better words, pestering me as to when some fish are going to go in the system. Well, there are fish in there now, and now out of excuses, I've got to get to work on the rest of my fish list, work out what new fish I want to put into the system, what of my existing fish I want to put into the system, work out what's going to play nicely together, what's not going to play nicely together, work out the sequence of adding these fish to make sure I give myself the best chance possible. So I should probably pull my thumb out and get to work on that. But in the meantime, guys, if you've enjoyed the video, please give it a thumbs up. That really helps the YouTube algorithm. It lets the algorithm know that you guys thought it was a great video and other reefers would be interested in watching it. So hit that like button, that thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, negativity, whatever it is, I don't mind, guys. I got thick skin. Pop it in the comments section down below. I personally respond to each and every comment or question in there, so don't be shy. I appreciate all the feedback. And lastly, if you're yet to subscribe, guys, what are you doing? You're killing me. Be sure to subscribe. It costs you no money at all. It takes 2 seconds of your time. All it will do is help me out on this YouTube journey, and it will let you know next time I put out a video, which isn't exactly a bad thing. So hit that subscribe button down there. We've sailed past 10,000. We're almost at 11,000 now. So join the crew, hit that subscribe button, and I look forward to bringing you some further updates on my dream reef tank. Till next time, guys, stay safe, keep reefing. Bye.